I'm Harvey, host of Franchising Brand Stories.
Hello, I'm Claire Monday, the creator of Tappy Toes.
And welcome to Franchising Brand Stories Season 3. And I'm going to do it. This is the show where we get under the hat of some of the top brands in the UK. So if you're considering investing into a franchise business, then this show is for you. This show should form part of your due diligence. And this show is all about finding out what's beyond the brochure, what's behind some of these wonderful brands. And we do that by having a lovely conversation with the people that have founded these brands. So it's
But yeah, we're a children's dance franchise. We have classes for children from 6 months, so when they're just sitting up, which is obviously more music and sensory, all the way up to age 6. So we go into schools, Key Stage 1 and teach reception year 1 and 2 as well. So 6 months to 6 years. We also offer dance parties as well. And obviously we're a franchise, so we have classes all around the UK.
Just to sort of give people an idea of where you're at today, in terms of number of franchisees, how many franchisees have you got and sort of where are you at right now?
Yeah. So we currently have 32 franchises. We're covering over 100 locations with those 32 franchisees. We are all the way up in Scotland, all the way down to Plymouth and kind of everywhere in between. We also have a franchisee over in Dubai in the UAE, and she's covering 4 locations over there. So yeah, we're growing.
Wow. Did it all begin for you and why dancing? What inspired?
Yeah, sure. So how far back do you want to go? I mean, I have danced all my life. So dance has always been a huge part of my life. At 16 years old, I was accepted into like a professional dance college, but didn't have any money or funds to get me there. So I started fundraising. I think I was 17 at this point. Started fundraising to get myself to a college, professional dance college. And long story short, I managed to raise the funds a couple of days before the course started, and off I went. So yeah, so that was kind of the start of my journey, really getting to that college, because from there I trained for 3 years as a dancer. I went on to dance professionally for 10 years, and alongside it all, I always taught dance. So it's just been a massive part of my life. And I was teaching dance for other people. I realized there was a real gap in the market for the younger children and dance and what was available for them. And that's where the idea of Tappy Toes came from. I lived in Watford at the time, and I just created one lesson plan and I delivered it in Watford. And yeah, it went down a storm. Everybody seemed to love it, and it grew and grew from there. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love that. I love I mean, what a thing to do when you were so young, just 16 or 17, to want to raise that capital to begin the business. You know, it must have been really hard at such a young age to think about what you had to do. So was it sort of crowdfunding or that?
No, it was. So basically I had such a passion and a love for dance, and that is what I wanted to do. And I knew that if I didn't raise the money to get to this dance college, it was going to be very hard for me to kind of achieve that dream. So it was things like, I mean, this is a long time ago, Harvey, but it was things like we would hold, it was quite a while ago, we would hold raffles in the local pub. We did talent competitions that we used to raise money. And yeah, just stuff like that. I can remember sitting in the library, because the internet wasn't what it is now, and going through a huge book of companies and just writing to companies asking them for money. I mean, it sounds crazy now. I do wonder like how I thought to do that at that age. I don't really know. I think I come from a family of, I'm the oldest of 6 children. I was kind of left to my own devices. So I've always been quite independent from a very young age. And I think maybe that's where it stemmed from. I was kind of independent. I've got to do this myself. No one else is going to do this for me. And yeah, I can remember sitting for hours in the library, just taking down the addresses and like even handwriting these letters asking for sponsorship. And it worked. You know, I ended up getting sponsorship enough to get me to college. And then when it came to kind of starting the Tappy Toes business, I was dancing professionally. I didn't have much money, so I didn't have a lot of money to invest. And I remember coming up with the name Tappy Toes and my friends saying to me, "Oh, it's great. It's a brilliant name. You need to trademark it and protect the name." And I said, "Well, I haven't got any money. I can't." And so she lent me £250. And I'm sorry for anyone who's heard this story before, but she lent me £250 to send off for the trademark, to trademark the name Tappy Toes. And that was the start, really, of the Tappy Toes journey, getting that name trademarked and developing it into a brand.
Wow.
So, like you said, that passion is really, really important to me, because I never went into this as a money-making thing. It was a passion, and I loved it, and I love kids, and I love passing on that knowledge of dance and all of that stuff. And I think having that passion is something that you can't really teach. So when I have people applying for the franchise, that's kind of one of the first things I'm looking for. You know, how passionate are they about child development? And it's more child development than dance in some ways, because they're very, very young. So I can train somebody on how to deliver the dance side of it safely and effectively. But it's very difficult to train someone to just have that love and enthusiasm for child development. So it's really important. We have a wide variety of people that join our network, but a lot of them happen to be teachers that have been early years specialists. We've got teachers that have been Senkos at schools. We've even got secondary school teachers that were teaching dance, that wanted to kind of get out of teaching in schools, but they still love working with children and little people. And so this has been, you know, a kind of natural move for them to then own their own business, with none of the politics of all the stuff that goes on at some.
Absolutely. Now, so you know, again, I'm always trying to think of from the perspective of somebody who's looking to invest in the business, and one of the things that I think about is, what does that journey look like from you've now decided that Tappy Toes is something that you want to have a look at a bit more detail in. What does the sort of the journey look like for a franchisee from the point they make that first phone call to the time, not running the business, but the time they start the business? What does that journey look like for them?
Yeah, so first of all, I mentioned earlier about our prospectus. They would have a read through that to make sure it's the business for them. Then they would jump on a call with me. We would make sure we're both a good fit. After which we go through finances in like a second call. So if they go away and think, right, yes, I want to do this, we'll then go through a spreadsheet of finances. You know, how much do you want to earn? What does that look like? Is that feasible? And we go through that. And then they would be asked to do like a business plan. So we have a template. So they would fill out a business plan to show us that they've done their research and they've done their due diligence. You know, they've looked at the competition in the area, all of that kind of thing. So we don't make it too easy. And then, yeah, and then obviously there's the franchise agreement that they would look through and make sure they fully understand what they're signing up to. And once that's all done and they've paid their franchise fee, we book in our training. And our training generally, it is quite bespoke to each person, but generally speaking, it's 2 full days in person, going through how to actually teach the lesson plans, you know, going through the lesson plans and learning that side of the business. Then it's 2 days on Zoom, going through the back end of the business, you know, how to market the business, how to run your booking system, all of that kind of thing. And then there's additional training kind of as and when it's needed. So if there's anything after those initial 4 days that they feel they haven't quite grasped or they want to go through, then we would just book in extra time with them when it's needed. So that's basically what happens when you come and get in touch with us. And then we sort of normally have about a 4 to 6 week period of marketing before they actually launch. Because we want to make sure we raise awareness in the area that the class is coming, and get people booked in before they offer that first session. So yeah, that's right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So what does a day look like for a franchisee? You know, you get up in the morning, and you know what happens.
Yeah. So majority of our franchisees have young children. So a lot of them are still doing the school runs, and, you know, they have young children, or they have even younger children and they've got to drop them at nursery or whatever. So often it will start with that school run. And then in the early days when we're marketing, we do a lot of online marketing, but there's also some legwork of going around, handing out flyers, visiting nurseries, offering demos in, you know, preschools and toddler groups and things like that to really spread the word. So we do a lot of that in the early days. Once their classes are set up, they're usually teaching in the morning. So often they'll have 3 classes in the morning and then stop at sort of lunchtime, come home, do a bit of marketing or social media, do a bit of admin. We've got quite a strict process of following up customers. So if somebody inquires about a class at Tappy Toes, we've got quite a strict procedure of what they need to do to turn that inquiry into a customer that stays for a long time. So they'd be following that process. And then they might have a nursery session in the afternoon. So they'd go into a nursery delivering classes, pick up the kids from school, and that's their day generally. We offer parties as well. So a lot of our franchisees, they might have parties at the weekend or after school, depending on when they want to sort of book those in. But yeah, that's generally how it looks.
Fantastic. I mean, we've spoken a little bit there about some fantastic support that's clearly offered, because you can't just start your business and suddenly lots of children arrive and you're teaching them dancing. You've got to go out and connect and find people that want to join those classes. And it's clear there that you do lots of things to help. I mean, and we've spoken about that in a few different guises, but perhaps you could summarize that support. I mean, you said there are 20 social media posts, you know, doing the actual legwork where you're walking around and knocking on doors to say, look, we've got this fantastic thing. We've got a new business partner in your area. How would you summarize that support that franchisees get?
Yeah, so I think in the initial stages, when I'm talking to people about coming on board, I try to make it really clear to them that there is going to be legwork in the marketing in the beginning, because as much as I can do online, I'm not in their local area. I can't walk the streets and flyer and put up posters, etc., etc. So we make that really clear that that's going to be their job. To fill their classes and to market locally is going to be their job. We give them a specific marketing plan on how that looks, what they should be doing, and that's a whole 6-week plan. So for example, you know, on this day you need to give out this many flyers, on this day you need to have called this many nurseries. Like, it's quite detailed. And then on the week of the launch it goes into daily details of what they should be doing. So as long as they kind of follow that, and I try to keep them accountable for doing that, then, you know, hopefully they will have enough children booked in to get started. And then the ongoing support, we do a monthly one-to-one. So I will speak to each franchisee each month, and we will go through things like the number of hits direct to their web page. That tells me how much marketing they've done, because I don't share that direct link, they do. So, you know, if they're out sharing that direct link and their page has got a lot more hits than everybody else in the network, then I know they're doing a really good job of the local marketing. So that's really, really helpful. And we go through things like how many students they've got enrolled, how many new students they had that week or that month, and things like that. So clear kind of KPIs, if you like. Then we have our monthly group sessions, so all of the franchisees can jump onto a Zoom call, and it could be themed. There could be an outside expert talking about things like financing or sales and marketing or whatever, or it could just be a general conversation. You know, what are you struggling with? What do you need? And we'll go from there. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. We obviously also have our annual conference, which is like the most amazing thing ever, where we all get together, and I just love it. We get together. It's always the first Saturday in March. We have loads of amazing speakers coming in and just getting us all revved up and motivated. And it's a really good chance for the franchisees to network with each other, which I think is really, really important, because we're all working for that same goal of, you know, building the Tappy Toes brand and spreading the Tappy Toes joy. So getting all together and kind of supporting each other is really, really nice.
I'm moving on now to my favorite part of this, actually, particularly when we're dealing with a company and a brand that offers an end service that can really make a difference in people's lives. And actually, you're lucky enough to be one of the brands that can offer a difference in almost 3 people's lives, or 3 stages. You've got your franchisees, you've got the staff that work within that wonderful environment, and of course you've got the end users, the wonderful children that are whose lives are truly being changed with dance and the confidence and development learning. I'm sure you have tons of stories, but are there a few that stick out in your mind that you could share with us?
Well, a really quick one, because it's about the end user, as you say. One of the little children that I taught Tappy Toes to, from she was just walking. She's now the same age as my daughter, so she's 9, and she's now playing Little Cosette in Les Mis. So that's like, oh my goodness! And she was in Annie a little while ago. I went to watch her in Annie. I'd kept in touch with the parents, so little things like that is just amazing. Like, her dance journey started in a Tappy Toes class with me, and I'm like watching her on like the big stage now. So that's like amazing. In terms, I know it's just lovely. In terms of franchisees, there is one particular franchisee, I won't name her, but she was working in a school. It became so stressful to the point that she was signed off with stress, and she was basically just hating it. She was having a terrible time. It really, really affected her mental health. She got in touch with me, and she was really honest about that. And she almost thought that I wouldn't want her because she had these struggles with her mental health. Anyway, long story short, I thought she was fabulous, and I just thought she's just doing the wrong thing. Like, she'll make an amazing franchisee. And sure enough, she did come on board. She left the teaching, she came on board, and now she's running full classes, waiting lists. She's doing absolutely amazingly, but more importantly, she loves it, and she just loves working with the kids. You know, her mental health is much better. She's happy in what she's doing, and she's making a really successful business. And so that for me is another one of my whys, like to see that transformation from, you know, she was almost apologizing in those early days, like, oh, I don't know if I'd be any good, I'm suffering with this. And to see that completely transform is just fabulous. Yeah.
Very, very powerful stuff. And at the end now of the main part of today's story, and it's been fantastic, and loved hearing the story of Tappy Toes. And, thank you so much for sharing that story, going right way back to the past, and how you're going to help your franchisees right now and into the future. And actually, that's where we're going to go now. We're going to go into the future. But if you have just joined us, this is Franchising Brand Stories. Absolutely. I mean, that's fantastic to hear about the international growth. Very exciting. But here in the UK, I mean, you're at 32. You're looking at 50. That's 18 more.
Yeah.
Are there particular regions within the UK you've got a concentration on, or that you're looking for new franchisees?
Yeah, so I think because I started in Watford, we're very like heavy in Watford and Hertfordshire. We've got Hertfordshire and Essex, sorry. We've got quite a lot of franchisees around those regions. And I would love to continue branching out from there, because we've got such a good, we're really well known in those areas now. So I think kind of Barnet, Edgware, that kind of area, I'd love to find somebody there. So I've also got a lot of nursery contracts there. So somebody coming into that area would already have some contracts. So yeah, I'd like to start there. But I don't know, we've just recently launched in Plymouth, and she is our first franchisee that far south. So it would be nice to kind of find some more people around that area to join Laura down in Plymouth. Yeah, but I'm open to all regions, really. Tappy Toes. I mean, Tappy Toes is all about the joy. So we want to bring joy to the children, the parents. We have a lot of grandchildren that attend. So it's all about spreading that joy and getting kids moving. So what better way to get them moving than to come and join a Tappy Toes class? So maybe people out there are listening and they've got little children. Head to the website and find a class and come join us.
Fantastic. Claire, thank you so much for joining us on Franchising Brand Stories today. It was wonderful to hear your story.